Good morning, my fellow Americans. It's time to sit down, strap in, and get ready for this gorgeous day that we're going to have. Let's have some fun while we're at it. All right, so recently I had the opportunity to call into Glenn Beck's radio show, and hi, Glenn, in case you see this. And I brought to his attention that there was this website called Antifa.com, and if you type in Antifa.com into a Google search, it automatically redirects you to the WhiteHouse.gov website, which I thought was rather peculiar at first. It kind of shocked me, but then I started to think about it a little bit, and I realized that maybe we're looking at a conservative who is trying to be, he was trying to make a point or make a statement, and Glenn agreed, but I was not able to finish what I was trying to say, or the point I was trying to make. And the point that I was trying to make is that we shouldn't be doing that kind of stuff. If your intention was to, as a conservative, if your intention was to draw a correlation between the Democratic Party or Joe Biden and Antifa, that was a little too on the nose. A little bit more irreverence would have been better. And the only reason I say that is because with as much of the mainstream media, the liberal media, trying to paint conservatives as disinformation sources, if you do something so on the nose and so literal, you give them an excuse to point to and say, look, see, we told you it's disinformation. And so if we as conservatives are going to sit here and say, look, they're lying to you, they're not telling you the truth, there's all sorts of other information out there that counteracts this, and they're not giving you the full story, we can't be the ones that play in that playground as well. We have to be above board, above reproach. If we're going to reproach somebody for their actions, we can't be doing the same things. We can't be participating in the same tactics. We have to stay above board. We have to stay out of the fray, so to speak. We're not fighting a ground game. We need to be in the Air Force and flying overhead and dropping bombs whenever they screw up or do something stupid. That being said, just calling somebody out, I think, is calling somebody out and saying, hey, you messed up. I think that's kind of bad unless you give positive feedback. I like the idea. However, I think it should have gone more Babylon Bee as opposed to trying to make it look legit, like CNN tries to make that kind of stuff look legit. If you'd have gone more Babylon Bee, made it a little bit more irreverent, made it a little bit more troll, then it would have been obvious that it wasn't just a statement and they can't point to it and say, see, we told you so. So something along the lines of going to a dummy website of whitehouse.gov, but it has Joe Biden standing on the platform at the podium of the White House press room, but there's a Chinese flag on the wall behind him, something along those lines. You know, that would have been fine. People would have known that that's not real, but they get the picture, they get the point, they get the statement. Or something even more productive or more constructive that could have been done in this particular instance is to create a conservative media aggregator website where it just collects all the stories from conservative media sources, label it Antifa.com. That way, when people are going to look for Antifa and they happen to type in Antifa.com, not knowing that Antifa doesn't have a website, what they'll find is alternative media sources that aren't feeding them the same crap from different directions. They'll see full context instead of just what the mainstream media wants to show people. I think that would have been much better a much more constructive use of that particular. I appreciate the correlation that you're trying to draw, because I think there is something to it, not necessarily Joe Biden, but the Democrats in general. Same thing goes for BLM. Their funding basically just went straight to Act Blue, or their donations to Black Lives Matter Inc. went straight to Act Blue, which is a funding arm of the Democratic Party. So it's I get the correlation that you're trying to draw. I think it could have been done a little bit differently to not stain or give the opposition a chance to point their finger and say you did bad, or you no good, you did bad, you need to do better. We need to do everything that we can to try and keep from playing the same dirty games that the opposition does, because people see it and they run from it. So if we're doing the same thing, then they're going to run from it, and they're not going to gain an interest in what we're trying to say and what conservatives are trying to tell them. And what's really sad is what people misunderstand about conservatives. For those of you who are watching this and are not conservative, let me just fill you in on something. When we're trying to conserve something, what we're trying to conserve is the Constitution. Mainly conserve the original idea. Now, the original idea was that all men are created equal. This includes everyone of every race, of every gender, everything like that. And I'm sorry to say there's only two genders, and that may get me ticked off, or may get me kicked off, but I don't care. Biologically, medically, we're not going to go into that. That'll be another video. But if we're trying to conserve it, that means we're not trying to fundamentally transform it. If you fundamentally transform something that is good, the only thing that can replace the vacuum that is created by the destruction of that good thing is bad. You can't replace it with something good. You just make what's good better. And we can do that. And that's not something that's outside of the realm of possibility. In fact, in the first lines of the Constitution, it says, in order to create a more perfect union. We're imperfect people. It's never going to be truly perfect. Sometimes with the best of intentions, we make the worst decisions. So in order to create a more perfect union, it's always a pursuit of a more perfect union between Americans and between the states and between the United States and other countries, foreign affairs. In order to create a more perfect union, they set up this Constitution that protects the individual from the government. And people are elected into government to uphold those protections. See, the vast majority of the Constitution is limits on government, not limits on people. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to keep the government from removing the dams of governmental power, so that we don't get flooded out, so that we can still have a say. So we don't drown in this in this tsunami of governmental control. And as it's been said by many people, once you take those rights away, mainly the Bill of Rights, if you start infringing upon those Bill of Rights, you can kiss the rest of it goodbye. And all conservatives are trying to do is prevent that kind of erosion of the United States Constitution. All right. Well, just a short little video to kind of finish my opinion, to fill you in on what I was able to talk to Glenn Beck about, and to give the rest of the context of the reason why I called. I don't blame him for, I was only able to talk for like maybe 10 seconds, and I don't blame him because it was coming up to the end of his broadcast. There was only like maybe 2-3 minutes left. So I don't blame him blame them for cutting me off or anything like that. I still have the utmost respect for Glenn Beck and Stu Bergier. But I did want to, I wish I would have been able to talk more about what I was trying to say. So this is my opportunity to do so, but also this is, it should anyone from the Glenn Beck or Blaze Media crew happen to see this, please share it with them. And if you like this video, also please share it, send it to somebody who might need to see it, who isn't a conservative but needs to understand what the principles of conservatism is, and to also understand that we're trying to play above board. There are bad actors in every aspect of society, unfortunately, but for the most part, conservatives are trying to play above board, and we're trying to tell the truth. And we need to call out, as conservatives, we need to call out, not in a mean way, not in a negative way, but just say, hey, maybe we shouldn't do it that way. Let's try something else, because it just stains the rest of us. Because anything that conservatives, if one conservative does bad, it's painted on everyone else that is conservative. So thank you for listening. That's the thought for the day. I hope you guys have a great one, and I will see you next time.